our thoughts and our emotions are also energy, and they actually go out into the world and they impact people or things in a domino effect, or they bring like energy back. And that is what law of attraction is all about. It's going to attract back like energy. So so you'll see how this plays out, because we actually vibrate in a range of frequencies, high to low. And the low frequencies are fear and anxiety and worry and disappointment and distrust, all of those negative kinds of energies. So when we are going about in the world experiencing those kinds of energies, then in fact we're attracting back more to reinforce that. So if you're distrustful, you're going to attract people back that are dishonest, or you're going to create distrust between you and them. So you're going to reemphasize and re-experience what it is that you're already feeling. Now, what that does is that it makes like living, driving a car with the brakes on. In other words, life gets difficult. You're experiencing money challenges. You're having relationship problems. Life is just really no ball of fun at that point. Now,
right.
But if you're vibrating in the high range, which is love and joy and compassion and trust and gratitude and appreciation, when you're vibrating in those high frequencies, you are actually vibrating in the frequency range of the universe. The universe vibrates at the highest frequency, which is love. And so when you're vibrating in that range, it's like the universe is carrying you forward. It's like having the wind in your sails, or having being drafted in a race car. And here's what happens. That's when you see synchronicities happen. Doors open. Life gets easy. Things unfold beautifully. And wow, it's really amazing. Now, add to that, when you are consciously creating with intent in a high vibrational state, that's when you're going to begin to see your manifestations come to you very quickly. It's very Pavlovian. Okay. When you see it, you think, oh, man, I want to do more of it. And so it's very cool.
So 2 questions for you. One, if you can just elaborate a little bit specifically what you mean by conscious creation and how people can do that. And then the other, I think, or equally important question is, how can someone adjust their frequency? So if literally they are in a circumstance where things are not going well, and there was just rampant this weekend at this personal development workshop that I was at, where there's some people that are in some really challenging situations, and understandably have fear and anxiety, etc. How can they, within those situations, change their frequency to a higher level?
Okay, so let's start with that question.
Okay.
There's 2 things that we're looking at. We're really looking at what I call negative energy habits. And that's things that we constantly do to ourselves. And that is, we are always complaining. We think we're not enough. We have communication issues because we denigrate other people. We are angry and respond. There's lots of different habits that we have. And you can actually spot those habits and begin to change. When you become aware that these are low-frequency activities, you can actually start changing them. And when you do, you can do things like, in my Practical Conscious Creation book, there is a chapter and by the way, there's 70 individual little chapters and 70 different tips. It's easy reading. So there's one on there on how you change your perspective, how you take something negative and how you actually ask yourself certain questions. How can I look at this differently? How can I approach things differently? What is the universe trying to teach me here? What can I learn from this that I can use for betterment in the future or for somebody else's betterment? So it's shifting your perspective. But it's when you become aware of this and thinking, I don't want to think that anymore. I don't want to go that direction. I don't want to speak unkind thoughts unconsciously. I want to consciously be present about what I'm saying, what I'm doing in the world. You begin to think, all right, what is my alternative here? I can look at it this way, or I could look at it that way. I could look at the glass half full, or I can look at the glass half empty. And I happen to be one of those people that's a glass half empty by nature. I have had to teach myself this. And if I can do this, anybody can do this, trust me. So, and the book Practical conscious creation is filled with different ways. But one of the simple things is when you want to shift your energy very, very quickly, there are certain things you can do. I have 300 roses around my house. I literally go out and smell the roses. But you can play music. You can listen to music. You can play with your kids. You can go out in nature. You can do exercise. You can meditate. You can read a book. Do things that actually bring you joy and peace, and they will instantly shift your negative energy. If you're going into one of those spirals of it's a bad day, the dogs peed all over the house, my boss is angry with me, I guarantee you that if you let it go, it's going to spiral and get worse. But you can actually stop that kind of negative energy by actually doing those things that I just mentioned.
And I love what you say in that, when you say you are naturally a person who sees the glass half empty. And I know, I do a lot of work in genetics around mood and behavior. And literally some people are genetically wired to see the glass as half empty. But the fact is that doesn't mean that you can't see it as half full. It may require a little bit more effort. It may be a little bit harder for someone like that. But as you say, the fact is that anyone can shift their perspective and the way they see things.
And this whole conscious community is filled with people who started one way, but have made a conscious decision to work on themselves and to choose another way. And so, yes, we all have the potential to change. And we have a potential to change not only our lives, but we change others. Because what happens is when we change the way we act, those people we've been dialoguing with in negative frameworks now have to change how they respond to you. I have a great article on here as what happens when you try to stay positive with a negative energy spouse. And so there are things that you can do to try to mitigate that and stay on your own path. You're not changing the other person, you're changing yourself. You're holding a vision for their healing and change, and then they often will respond differently to you, so the dynamics change. Now, I want to also address your second question about consciously creating. When we consciously create, we create a new vision for ourselves and what we want to have happen in the future. And what we do is we get very clear with what that is. If you want a new house, if you want a new love, if you want a new business, if you want to generate this, or if you want to wait that. You create that vision for yourself. Now, when you're sending that vision to the universe, the other thing that you're doing is you're actually feeling it. You're actually experiencing it in your mind. It's a mind movie, as if it were happening now, not in the future, not in the past. Right now, you're experiencing it. What would you be feeling emotionally during that time? You have to experience that emotion. You want to experience the joy, the love, the wonder, the excitement about a particular experience, because the universe responds more to our emotional than our thoughts. So the emotions are the magic, are the express mail to the cosmic post office. It's the magic bullet. So you want to experience it, sense it, emotionally experience it, and then detach from it. Send it to the universe and let it go. But this visualization process is very important, but here's the important part, and this is why it didn't work for a lot of people with The Secret. If you are holding this vision, and at the same time you are having low-frequency underlying currents, I'm not good enough. It never happens to me. I'm desperate. This has to happen. I have no money. I've got to generate this. If you're vibrating all of that negative energy stuff, the universe is getting mixed signals. It's getting your negative stuff and your high vibration positive stuff. It cannot deliver. You have to be in a high vibrational state: joy, trust, wonder, beauty, appreciation, gratitude, in order for your visualization to manifest. So you have to fix the one problem in order to be in a place where you can actually receive.
Yeah, and that feeling part is, as you say, that's a huge aspect of it, to literally feel the emotions that you would feel in that vision that you're creating.
Now, there's one more step that's really important here, Lauren, and that's what I call becoming an actionary. Because once you hold consciously create a vision, you now have to start acting on it. Even if you have to act as if. because the universe will actually reward you for your commitment and taking a step forward. I talk about the fact that there's this little Indiana Jones guy, and he's racing to come to this, and he comes up to this crevice. He's being chased by the bad guy, and there is no bridge over the crevice. And how does he get across? He has to take 1 foot forward, and then the next one, and then the bridge appears step by step as he steps forward. The universe works like that. Once you start stepping out and taking action, the universe rewards you. It's like brownie points. That's when things get clear, opportunities arise, people show up in your life, and you're going, how did this happen? You don't have to concentrate on the how. You just have to concentrate on your next step and where you want to head. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the universe is going to take you where you intended to go. It may take you a little off center because it had a better idea for you. So just follow along and let it go, and it will take you where you're supposed to really be.
And I think that's the other thing to be aware of is to be open to how it will show up. So you may have this vision of what you want to create, but to not get attached to how you think the steps have to follow for that to happen, because as you say, the universe has quite possibly got an even better way for it to happen and for it to show up. So to be open to those possibilities.
Well, and the best thing that you can be in life is accepting. And I have an article in there that says in Practical Conscious Creation that expectation is the death of serenity. If you have it all lined up in your mind exactly how it's supposed to happen and it doesn't turn out that way, then you're going to create, struggle and strife for yourself. On the other hand, if you say, okay, well, that wasn't what I was intending, but let's see where this leads, and be flexible in how you approach life, the universe will always take you in areas and ways that are in your highest good.
Love it. I love it, Jackie. Thank you so much. I've been reading your book, and I'm just absolutely loving it. How can our listeners get a copy of your book? How can they connect with you, offline?
That would be great. They can get copies of my books on Amazon, of course, but they can also go to Jackie@JackieLapin.com. There's some very cool videos there, and there's a wonderful little money tree visual that's great for the money tree in the book that we talk about, how you can be an ever abundant money tree. So lots of fun things there. If you're interested in Practical Conscious Creation, that's the place to go. If you're interested in learning more about how we help conscious entrepreneurs deliver their message to a wider audience, then they can contact me at consciousmediarelations.com, consciousmediarelations.com. So I'm easily accessible to either one, and you can just reach me at Jackie at Conscious Media Relations if you're interested in talking to me. So, but both of those resources are the best resource, JackieLapin.com and consciousmediarelations.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Before I let you go, and honestly, I would love for you to come back. I could sit and talk about this like forever. I love this stuff because it's so important, and the more people get it, the better this world is going to be. But before you leave us today, as we wrap up your segment, could you just leave our listeners with maybe 3 takeaways that they can start doing and implement immediately to help shift what's happening in their life?
The first is to be conscious of the way that you're speaking to yourself and to others. And if you continually tell yourself you can't, or you're not, or other people don't live up to your expectations, you need to rethink how you're talking to both you and others. That's a really important one. Another one is I'm a real big believer in physical activity. If you are stuck in a place and you're not happy with your life, get out and start exercising. Get out and start walking. Get out and start swimming, doing things that actually will really change the way that you're feeling about yourself and about the world. I think that's a really good and important one. And I would say be aware of the frequency that you're putting out into the world and how you feel about things. And if you're feeling negative and you're automatically going to the worst case scenario, remember these key words. All is well. because it really is.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful segment. What a